was an attack the Foundation never anticipated. Site-19 had faced many threats in its over a century of operation as the SCP Foundation's largest containment facilities. They'd weathered attacks from Chaos Insurgency infiltrators who'd undergone years of deep cover just to create the perfect element of surprise. They'd seen fleets of helicopters and armored vehicles, mercenaries hired by the deep-pocketed sociopaths and Marshall Carter and Dark Limited to secure their anomalous investments, and on one occasion, a Sarkic cult that burrowed in from below, riding a giant worm made out of flesh like you or I would ride the subway. But all those attacks had been repelled with relative ease in the end. Foundation security officers have drawn up training scenarios and contingency plans for almost any scenario, and they're trained to respond with precision and finesse to all of them. All of them except this. The assailants were running towards the containment site with incredible speed. They leaned over as they ran, backs perfectly horizontal, arms extended out behind them. It was an optimal aerodynamic pose for running, allowing them to reach unprecedented velocities. The guards stationed around the building were in a panic. Why were they running like that? Their superior, stationed in a guard tower above, ordered them to open fire. Shoot to kill. Do anything you can to stop these unknown forces from breaching the perimeter. They leveled their rifles and pistols and opened fire, suffusing the air with the snap, crackle, and pop of gunshots. But not a single shot, each one fired by expertly trained marksmen, actually landed. It was that pose again. It made them small, fast-moving targets, allowing them to easily dodge bullets. "How are they doing that?" one of the guards yelled, voice trembling with fear. These were attackers like they'd never faced before. Was this some new, unidentified group of interest? They didn't dress in the dark green robes of the Serpent's Hand. They weren't clad in the cybernetic power suits of the Mechanites. They didn't wear the UN standard tactical armor of the Global Occult Coalition. Many literally just wore jeans and t-shirts, some with light jackets, others with admittedly quite silly hats, and one had a t-shirt with Pickle Rick from the television show Rick and Morty on it. "Lay down some covering fire," one of the senior guards barked out. "Hold the line!" But as the mysterious running attackers closed in, dodging every shot fired, the confidence of the guards broke. Many abandoned their posts, screaming in terror. Men who'd shown courage and valor in SCP-682 outbreaks found their nerves utterly rattled by these bullet-dodging, fast-moving, unaffiliated interlopers. Having broken the perimeter lines like heat-seeking cruise missiles, the runners breached the building itself and started darting through the halls. Guards tried chasing them with nightsticks, knowing now that bullets were utterly useless against people using this hitherto unknown kind of run. But then the speed became an issue again. The guards couldn't physically catch up with the intruders for long enough to beat them down. They quickly ran into restricted areas that half of the people actually working in the building didn't have clearance to enter. They ran through archival rooms full of files that contained some of the Foundation's most sensitive secrets. They ran past containment units that housed anomalies capable of easily causing XK-class end-of-the-world scenarios. They even ran through the break room and knocked a basket of donuts out of Dr. Clef's hand during his lunch break, which he was, needless to say, very upset about. Thankfully for the Foundation, they were able to get a bead on the intruders when they stopped in the humanoid containment wing to take selfies. Legions of guards leaped onto them, tackling them to the ground, and then taking just a little extra time to kick the living tar out of them for their trouble. At least one of them had the Reddit app open to r/memes on their phone, seconds away from posting a photo that would compromise the very heart of the Foundation's mission. There was no time to waste. The runners were dragged into separate interrogation chambers. It took several other guards to subdue Dr. Clef, who was intent on using the pair of anguish against the prisoners as punishment for what they did to his donuts. But cooler heads prevailed, and less violent and vengeful personnel were charged with interrogating these fools and finding out what the hell had gone on here. One of these was senior researcher Dr. Walsh, and he soon found himself interviewing the mysterious intruder in the Rick and Morty shirt. He cut straight to the chase. "Why did you try to infiltrate our containment facility today? Is someone paying you off? Chaos Insurgency? Marshall Carter and Dark?"
"What? No, dude,"
Rick and Morty said.
"I was just doing it for the meme."
"I don't buy that. We have ways of making you talk, you know."
"No, seriously, it's a Facebook group, Storm Site 19. They can't stop us all."
Within moments, junior researchers were cross-referencing what Rick and Morty said, and what they found was extremely disturbing. He was absolutely right. Someone had made a meme Facebook page about storming Site-19, and it had tens of thousands of members. This had Gamers Against Weed written all over it. But the why of the attack didn't interest Dr. Walsh nearly as much as the how. "Explain the run to me," Walsh asked, shining the light on the desk right into Rick and Morty's face. It allowed you to completely bypass several layers of security. You moved at incredible speeds. You dodged bullets for 343's sake. There must be some anomalous quality to this. You better start talking or I'm gonna bring the naked doll in here to enhance this interrogation. Rick and Morty didn't know what that meant, but he certainly didn't like the sound of it.
It's just part of the meme! A Naruto run, I swear!
Naruto run. Now that's something they could work with. Once the interviews were concluded, the intruders were all given a course of amnestics and then taken out the back of the site and shot. Every researcher they had available was assigned to finding out everything they could about this mysterious Naruto, only to discover that he actually wasn't so mysterious at all. He'd somehow just flown right under the Foundation's radar. Naruto was a notorious ninja from the Leaf Village in rural Japan, known for fighting off the forces of evil in his quest to become Hokage, the crown jewel of ninjas. A successful manga and anime had been based on his adventures. He'd been name-dropped multiple times in the seminal Otaku Hot Girl by Grammy winner Megan Thee Stallion, and clearly this run that he'd so pioneered was one of the greatest threats to the sanctity of Foundation containment since they'd first discovered the existence of the Scarlet King. It was obvious what needed to be done. They needed to hunt down this apparently famous Naruto and put him in containment before his daring ninja exploits could inspire anyone else to try breaking into a Foundation containment site for the meme. Reports were put together, mobile task forces were armed and prepped, and a sizable force with formidable plans made their way towards Japan. This ninja had evaded capture for too long, and he was about to taste containment no jutsu. Back in the Leaf Village, Naruto was going about his day in his bright orange jumpsuit, ninja headband tied tightly across his forehead. He had no idea that the SCP Foundation had designs on ending his freedom. He was too busy indulging in his favorite food, a huge, delicious bowl of ramen. Life just didn't get much better than this. But Naruto's finely attuned ninja senses made him realize that something was wrong. He picked up a distinct shift in the chakra energy of his surroundings, perhaps a sixth sense given to him by the nine-tailed fox demon that inhabited his soul. He somehow knew that there was a Foundation sniper positioned in the bushes, ready to fire a tranquilizer dart with enough mojo to send an elephant to Slumberland. The sniper aimed and fired, the dart hitting Naruto in the back, immediately causing him to slump over into his ramen bowl. Perfect. Almost too easy. With Naruto's collapse, a number of other mobile task force operatives emerged from the trees, ready to tag and bag the troublesome ninja Knucklehead and figure out the secret to his anomalously perfect run. But just as the operatives had Naruto's unconscious body surrounded, they suddenly realized that Naruto had surrounded them, 10 Narutos to be exact. The operatives were shocked when each of these perfect ninja duplicates unleashed their fists of fury on them, experts disarming them and beating them into submission. They'd just fallen victim to one of Naruto's most iconic powers, his Shadow Clone Jutsu. While the power isn't unique to him, no one has ever matched Naruto's gusto, creating not just more clones, but tougher clones than any ninja before him.
It's gonna take more than that to get the drop on me, bozos,
he said.
Believe it.
But while the Foundation didn't have Shadow Clone Jutsu, it had something even more powerful: money. And with those limitless resources, they had personnel to spare. A gang of Foundation-allied ninjas leapt out of the trees, each one drawing their ninjato, a special kind of sword often favored by the ninjas of old for their quick-draw abilities in close combat. Unlike the standard Mobile Task Force members, the SCP ninjas didn't stand on ceremony. They were already in battle formation, ready to kick ass and take names. But Naruto was equally quick on the draw. He pulled a kunai, a small dagger useful in both thrown attacks and close-quarters combat, and began to parry away the relentless ninjato strikes. Clearly, this pint-sized jutsu master had plenty still up his sleeves. including quite literally a large supply of kunai and shuriken. But Naruto wasn't alone either. With some expert hand movements, he was able to summon another contingent of armed shadow clones, capable of matching these darker ninjas blow for blow. Clearly, the Foundation needed to pull out the big guns in order to take the garish-clothed martial artists down for good. The order was given, and a fully loaded attack helicopter rose out from the nearby tree line, equipped with missile launchers and minigun turrets. It had full authorization to turn that pesky little ninja into Swiss cheese as soon as possible. The helicopter opened fire, releasing a barrage of bullets that chewed through the trees and blew apart the simple wooden buildings of Leaf Village. Naruto dodged away, but not all of his shadow clones were so lucky, with several of them being wiped out during the onslaught. But the bullets didn't discriminate, also wiping out several of the SCP ninjas, their own allies in the process. But that's when everything changed. Naruto started doing the run, the iconic run that had since borne his namesake forevermore. And this altered the entire dynamic of the battle immediately. No bullet could possibly hit him in such a streamlined aerodynamic pose. It was almost like he was invisible to the miniguns trying desperately to wipe him out. The order came down to instead use one of the missiles, and that order was immediately acted upon. The attack chopper fired a rocket that Naruto was able to narrowly dodge using his ninja skills, but he couldn't prevent tragedy from striking. A missile hit his favorite ramen joint and exploded it into a cascade of fire and wood chips. A mixture of bone broth and napalm could be smelled for miles after the fact. Never before had Naruto felt such a genuine sense of rage. Before the helicopter could muster up another shot, he summoned up a powerful Rasengan, a ball of energy drawn from his chakras that appears in his palms and can be used offensively. With a roar of primal rage, he threw the Rasengan at the helicopter, sending it up into a great ball of fire that incinerated everybody on board. The burnt husk of the chopper pitched and cascaded down into the forests outside Leaf Village, where it landed with another almighty explosion. As Naruto began multiplying into more shadow clones to take on whatever the fight might bring him next, with their air support destroyed and faced with an enemy wielding unexpected powers, the mobile task force operatives in the perimeter began to fall back and regroup. Tiny Foundation camera drones watched impassively from above, trying to figure out the next ideal move. It seemed that with all other options exhausted, it was time to open Pandora's box. Naruto and his shadow clones assessed the situation on the ground. Buildings were destroyed, many were dead already, and he still didn't actually have any idea why he'd been attacked in the first place, or who the people who were attacking him even were. His train of thought was interrupted by a jet-black kunai flying directly towards his head with deadly precision. Naruto dodged just barely, and the sharp point of the kunai embedded itself in the tree directly behind his head. Surely someone with a throw that precise could only be a high-level ninja. But in fact, it was someone, or perhaps even something, much worse. A warrior almost twice Naruto's size stepped out of the burning trees where the helicopter had fallen. Naruto had no way of knowing, but the armored chopper carried the black sarcophagus of SCP-076-2, Abel. The Foundation unleashed him as a special, anomalous mobile task force operative in the face of overwhelming threats, a role Naruto, with his mastery of jutsu and shonen determination, had more than earned by now. But Naruto wasn't going to wait and hear this jerk's introduction spiel. He immediately pulled out a shuriken and threw it at Abel with all his might. The weapon embedded in Abel's tattooed chest, but even as it pierced the warrior's flesh, he showed no reaction, not even a flinch. With a twisted smile, he reached up and pulled the shuriken out of his chest, before squeezing it in the palm of his hand. The metal crumpled like a piece of paper, and when Abel opened his grip, a broken former shuriken fell to the ground. "So, you're the little ninja boy that has been giving all these fools such a headache," Abel said, drawing a long serrated-edge katana out of one of his pocket dimensions. "Let's see how you fare against a real fighter." Naruto smiled and stanced up.
You're not the one who's gonna win this. Believe it!
Now check out SCP-682 vs. SCP-076, the Warrior and the Dragon, or Deadpool vs. SCP-682, the Hard-to-Destroy Reptile, for more.